First contact and deception. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before the Galactic Council's exploration vessel, the Stargazer, Captain Zixnera, a tall, slender alien with iridescent skin, stood on the bridge, her 4 eyes fixed on the viewscreen. Her antennae twitched with anticipation as the ship approached a small blue planet in a previously unexplored sector. "Sensors are picking up signs of civilization, Captain," reported her second-in-command, Vorn. "Primitive technology by our standards, but definitely an intelligent species." Zixnera nodded, her mandibles clicking softly. "Excellent," informed the Council. "We may have found another race to bring into the galactic community." As the Stargazer entered orbit around Earth, the crew marveled at the planet's beauty. Oceans of deep blue, swirling white clouds, and patches of green and brown landmasses created a mesmerizing tapestry. But what truly caught their attention were the countless pinpricks of light visible on the night side of the planet, clear evidence of a global civilization. The Council wasted no time in preparing a first contact team. Within days, a delegation led by Ambassador Quan Thar arrived on Earth, landing their sleek vessel in a carefully chosen location, a large open area near the United Nations headquarters in New York City. The arrival of the aliens sent shockwaves through human society. Governments scrambled to respond, media outlets broadcast continuous coverage, and people around the world watched in awe as the first extraterrestrial beings set foot on Earth. Ambassador Quan Thar, a stately figure with golden scales and piercing emerald eyes, addressed the hastily assembled group of world leaders and diplomats. "Greetings, people of Earth," he said, his words translated by an advanced device. "We come in peace, representing the Galactic Council, a union of civilizations spanning countless stars. We are here to welcome you into the greater community of sentient beings." The human leaders, though initially wary, were quickly won over by the aliens' apparent benevolence. The promise of advanced technology, interstellar travel, and membership in a galactic civilization was too enticing to resist. Within weeks, Earth had signed the Treaty of Galactic Cooperation, officially joining the Council as a protectorate. As the aliens began to establish a presence on Earth, they couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority. The humans, with their fossil fuel-powered vehicles, primitive space program, and ongoing conflicts, seemed almost childlike in comparison to the advanced races of the Council. "They're so quaint," remarked Vorn to Captain Zixnera as they observed a bustling human city from their cloaked ship. "It's hard to believe they've managed to achieve so much with such limited technology." Zixnera chittered in agreement. "Indeed. But that's why the Council exists, to guide species like this towards a brighter future. In time, they'll learn to put aside their petty squabbles and embrace true progress." Little did the aliens know that beneath the facade of a struggling young civilization lay a secret that would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Council. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's oceans and hidden within hollowed-out mountains, a vast fleet of advanced warships waited silently. These vessels, the product of decades of secret development, incorporated technologies that rivaled or even surpassed those of the Council races. In a hidden bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, met with a select group of world leaders. The mood was tense as they discussed their next move. "The aliens have bought our act," Chen reported, her voice firm. "They believe we're a primitive species in need of their guidance. It's time to decide our next step." The President of the United States, a tall woman with steely gray eyes, leaned forward. "We've managed to keep our true capabilities hidden for months. How much longer can we maintain this charade?" Chen's lips thinned. "Not much longer, Madam President. Our intel suggests the Council is planning to establish a more permanent presence on Earth. If we're going to act, it needs to be soon." The Chinese premier spoke up, his voice measured. "We must consider the consequences carefully. Once we reveal ourselves, there's no going back. We'll be at war with a galactic civilization. A civilization that would happily keep us as pets, countered the Russian president, his fist clenching. "We've seen how they treat other primitive species. We won't be slaves to alien masters." As the debate raged on, Chen's communicator buzzed. She excused herself and stepped out of the room to take the call. When she returned, her face was grim. "We're out of time," she announced. "The Council ship in orbit has detected unusual energy readings from one of our hidden bases. They're sending a team to investigate." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, the president stood, her decision made. "General Chen, initiate Operation Thunderbolt. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." Across the planet, hidden hangar doors slid open. Massive warships, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen, rose from the depths of the oceans and emerged from mountain hideaways. In orbit, cloaking fields shimmered and failed, revealing a vast armada of human vessels that had been hiding in plain sight. On board the Stargazer, alarms blared as the sensors suddenly lit up with countless new contacts. Captain Zixnera stared at the tactical display in disbelief, her 4 eyes wide with shock. "Impossible," she whispered. "Where did they come from?" Before she could issue any orders, a transmission cut through the chaos. On the view screen appeared a human face, General Sarah Chen, her expression resolute. "Attention, Galactic Council forces. This is General Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. For too long, we have hidden our true strength, watching as you patronized and underestimated us. That ends today. We are not your pets, nor your proteges. We are humanity, and we demand to be treated as equals." As Chen spoke, human warships took up defensive positions around Earth. Their weapons, a mix of advanced energy weapons and gravitational manipulators, powered up in a clear show of force. "We have no desire for war," Chen continued, "but make no mistake, we will not submit to alien rule. We are prepared to defend our planet and our sovereignty with all the power at our disposal. The choice is yours. Recognize us as equals, or face the consequences of your arrogance." The transmission cut off, leaving the alien crew in stunned silence. Captain Zixnera's mandibles clicked rapidly as she struggled to process this turn of events. Everything they thought they knew about humans had been a carefully crafted lie. "Captain," Vorn said urgently, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Council. They're ordering all ships to withdraw from Earth space immediately." Zixnera nodded numbly, still staring at the image of the massive human fleet on the tactical display. "Comply with the order," she said quietly, "and may the cosmic spirits have mercy on us all if we've awakened a sleeping giant." As the Stargazer and other Council ships hastily retreated from Earth orbit, the human fleet maintained its defensive posture. On the bridge of the EDF flagship Prometheus, General Chen watched the aliens withdraw, her expression a mix of relief and determination. "And so it begins," she murmured. Across the galaxy, news of Earth's deception and hidden power spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council, once confident in its superiority, now found itself facing a crisis unlike any in its long history. Emergency sessions were called, military assets were mobilized, and diplomats scrambled to formulate a response. In the Council's Grand Assembly Hall on the capital world of Centauri Prime, representatives from hundreds of alien races gathered to debate the Earth situation. The chamber buzzed with a cacophony of voices, clicks, and electronic communications as the various species expressed their shock, outrage, and fear. High Counselor Genva, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, called for order. As the noise died down, she addressed the assembly, her voice resonating through the hall. "Fellow council members, we face an unprecedented situation. The humans of Earth have deceived us all, concealing a level of technological advancement that rivals our own. We must decide how to respond to this new threat to galactic stability." The Volcran representative, a mass of writhing tentacles and glowing eyes, spoke up. "We should crush them now, before they can fully mobilize. They've proven themselves untrustworthy. They cannot be allowed to spread beyond their world." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but the Aurelian ambassador, a being of living light, countered. Violence may only provoke them further. We've seen the power of their fleet. A war could devastate half the galaxy. We must seek diplomatic solutions. As the debate raged on, a sense of unease settled over the assembly. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had united the often fractious Galactic Council in fear. Whether this fear would lead to war or a new era of cooperation remained to be seen. Back on Earth, humanity held its breath, waiting to see how the galaxy would respond to their revelation. In homes, offices, and public spaces around the world, people gathered around view screens, watching for any news from the stars. In the White House Situation Room, President Evelyn Carter met with her top advisors. The atmosphere was tense as they discussed the potential consequences of their actions. "What's the status of our fleet?" Carter asked, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's defensive grid. General Chen, present via secure video link, responded promptly. "All ships are at battle readiness, Madam President. We've also activated our planetary shield network. If the Council decides to attack, we're as prepared as we can be." The Secretary of State, a veteran diplomat named Michael Reeves, cleared his throat. "We're receiving mixed signals from our covert operatives in Council space. Some races are calling for immediate military action against Earth, while others are advocating for negotiation. It's a powder keg out there." Carter nodded grimly. "And what about the technology exchange we were promised when we joined the Council? Have we received anything useful?" "Some," replied the Secretary of Science and Technology, "but nothing close to what we've developed on our own." It seems the Council was selective in what they chose to share with a primitive species. The President's eyes narrowed. "So they were planning to keep us dependent on them. All the more reason we made the right choice in revealing ourselves." She stood, placing her hands on the table. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've started down this path, and there's no going back. Our task now is to navigate humanity through the storm we've unleashed." As the meeting continued, discussing strategies and contingencies, a young aide burst into the room, his face pale. "Madam President," he gasped, "we're detecting a massive energy surge at the edge of our solar system. Thousands of ships are dropping out of faster-than-light travel. It's the Council fleet." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Galactic Council had made its decision, and the future of humanity now hung in the balance. As klaxons began to sound and emergency broadcasts interrupted global communications, the people of Earth steeled themselves for what was to come. The vast human fleet, hidden for so long, now moved to meet the alien armada head-on. As the two forces approached each other, the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, trembled on the edge of a knife. In the coldness of space, where no one could hear the sound of approaching doom, humanity prepared to prove that they were more than the Galactic Council had ever imagined. They were a force to be reckoned with, a sleeping giant awakened, ready to claim their place among the stars. Humanity strikes back. The vast emptiness of space erupted into a dazzling display of light and energy as the human and Galactic Council fleets clashed at the edge of Earth's solar system. Beams of concentrated energy crisscrossed the void, while swarms of missiles left trails of ionized particles in their wake. The battle that would decide the fate of humanity had begun. Aboard the EDF flagship Prometheus, General Sarah Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic battle display. The human fleet, though outnumbered, was holding its own against the Council forces. Years of secret development and reverse-engineered alien technology were paying off. "Status report," Chen barked, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Rajpatal, responded promptly. "Our shields are holding at 82%, General. The Council ships seem unprepared for our level of technology. We're inflicting significant damage, but they still outnumber us 3-1. Chen nodded, a grim smile playing on her lips. "Good. Implement Operation Thunderbolt. Let's show them what humanity is truly capable of. Across the human fleet, a signal was given. Hundreds of ships suddenly vanished from sensors, their advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible to both sight and scans. The Council fleet, caught off guard by this sudden disappearance, faltered in their attack. Moments later, the cloaked human ships reappeared, directly in the midst of the alien formation. Chaos erupted as human vessels unleashed a point-blank barrage on their unsuspecting foes. Council ships, their shields oriented towards the main human fleet, found themselves defenseless against this internal assault. On the Galactic Council flagship, the Eternal Radiance, High Admiral Zorkath watched in horror as his carefully planned formation disintegrated into disarray. The holographic display before him flickered with the deaths of dozens of ships, their signals winking out one after another. "Impossible," he muttered, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he tried to regain control of the situation. How could they have developed such advanced cloaking technology? We must regroup. But it was too late. The human fleet pressed its advantage, their ships demonstrating a level of maneuverability and firepower that the Council forces had never anticipated. Sleek fighters darted between capital ships, their energy weapons slicing through alien hulls with terrifying precision. As the battle raged on, news of the conflict spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes watched in awe and fear as humanity, the supposedly primitive species, stood toe-to-toe with the might of the Galactic Council. On Earth, civilians huddled in shelters, their eyes glued to screens showing the space battle. Despite the fear, there was a palpable sense of pride. Humanity was not merely surviving. They were winning. In orbit around Earth, the planetary defense grid hummed with power. Massive energy cannons tracked any Council ship that managed to break through the human fleet's lines, destroying them before they could threaten the planet. After hours of intense combat, the Council fleet began to retreat. Their formations were in tatters, their most powerful ships reduced to drifting hulks. As the aliens fled, cheers erupted across the human fleet and on Earth below. General Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before turning to her communications officer. "Send a message to all Council worlds within range," she ordered. "Tell them that Earth is off limits. Any further aggression against our planet will be met with the full force of the human defense fleet." As the message was transmitted, Chen knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had repelled the initial assault, but the galaxy was vast, and the Council had resources beyond imagination. The war was far from over. In the days that followed, humanity wasted no time in pressing its advantage. With the Council fleet in disarray, Earth's leaders made a bold decision: to take the fight to the enemy. The human fleet, bolstered by ships emerging from hidden shipyards across the solar system, split into multiple task forces. Their targets, key Council worlds and installations across the nearest sectors of space. On the jungle world of Verdana, a major Council agricultural center, the sky lit up with the arrival of a human battle group. Before the local defenses could even react, precision strikes from orbit disabled key military installations and communication centers. Marine drop pods rained down on the planet's surface, deploying teams of human soldiers equipped with powered armor that could have come straight out of science fiction. These troops, moving with inhuman speed and strength, quickly secured strategic locations. Within hours, the human flag flew over the planetary capital. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer content to simply defend. They were taking the fight to the Council's doorstep. Similar scenes played out across a dozen worlds. The Council, still reeling from their defeat at Earth, found themselves unable to effectively coordinate a response. Centuries of peace had left many of their worlds ill-prepared for the sort of lightning warfare that humanity now employed. On Centauri Prime, the capital of the Galactic Council, panic gripped the Grand Assembly Hall. Representatives from hundreds of worlds demanded action, protection, or in some cases, immediate surrender to the human forces. High Counselor Genva struggled to maintain order. Please, esteemed colleagues, her resonant voice cut through the chaos. We must not give in to fear. Humanity has caught us off guard, yes, but we are still the Galactic Council. We have the resources of 1,000,000 worlds at our disposal. The Volcran representative, his tentacles writhing in agitation, spoke up. Resources mean nothing if we cannot match their technology. How is it possible that this young species has weapons that can cut through our strongest shields like paper? Before Geneva could respond, the chamber's main display lit up with an incoming transmission. To the shock of all present, the face that appeared was human. President Evelyn Carter of Earth. Greetings, members of the Galactic Council. Carter began, her voice firm, but not unkind. I come before you today not to gloat over our victories, but to offer a chance for peace. A murmur ran through the assembly. Carter continued, we never wanted this war. Our deception was born out of necessity, a response to the condescension and potential threat we perceived from the Council. But it doesn't have to be this way. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are prepared to cease all offensive operations immediately, on one condition. Recognize Earth and humanity as full and equal members of the galactic community. No more patronizing oversight, no more withholding of technology. We will share our advancements, and in return, we ask for true partnership. As Carter's words echoed through the chamber, the assembled representatives looked at each other in confusion and wonder. The humans, despite their military superiority, were offering peace. High Counselor Geneva stepped forward. President Carter, your offer is unexpected. But surely you understand that trust will be difficult after your deception. How can we be certain of your sincerity? Carter nodded, acknowledging the point. Actions speak louder than words, Counselor. As a show of good faith, I am ordering all human forces to withdraw from occupied Council worlds within the next 24 hours. We will maintain a defensive posture only. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. The galaxy is vast, and the universe vaster still. There are wonders to explore and dangers to face that dwarf our current conflict. Humanity extends its hand in friendship. It is up to you whether to grasp it. With that, the transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. After a moment, voices began to rise as representatives debated this unexpected turn of events. In her office on Earth, President Carter leaned back in her chair, exhaling slowly. She turned to General Chen, who stood nearby. Do you think they'll accept? Chen's expression was thoughtful. It's hard to say. We've wounded their pride, scared them half to death. But we've also shown them that we can be magnanimous in victory. It could go either way. Carter nodded. Well, the ball's in their court now. In the meantime, we need to prepare for both possibilities, peace or continued war. As Earth waited for the Council's response, humanity began to grapple with its new reality. They were no longer alone in the universe, no longer confined to their solar system. The stars, once distant and unreachable, were now within their grasp. Across the planet, there was a mix of excitement and trepidation. The revelation of the secret fleet and advanced technology had been a shock to many, but the decisive victory over the Council had sparked a fierce pride. Humanity had stood up to the galaxy's greatest power and not only survived but triumphed. In universities and research labs, scientists pored over the data collected from the recent battles, working to refine and improve their technologies. The advancements made in secret were now being integrated into everyday life, promising a new era of progress and discovery. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the human fleet remained vigilant. While a significant portion had withdrawn as promised, battle groups stayed on high alert near key strategic locations. They were prepared for peace, but ready for war. Days passed, then weeks. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see how the Galactic Council would respond to humanity's offer. Would they swallow their pride and accept humans as equals? Or would their fear and resentment drive them to continue the conflict? As tensions simmered, a new variable entered the equation. On a distant council world, Archaeologists made a startling discovery: ruins of an ancient civilization far more advanced than any known species. The artifacts found within hinted at technologies beyond even humanity's recent advancements. News of the discovery spread quickly, reaching both Earth and the Council capital. Suddenly, both sides realized that there was more at stake than their immediate conflict. The galaxy held secrets that could revolutionize life for all species, or potentially destroy everything if mishandled. In light of this discovery, the Galactic Council made its decision. A transmission was sent to Earth, requesting a face-to-face meeting between human leaders and the Council's highest representatives. The message was clear: it was time to talk. As preparations began for this historic summit, both humanity and the Council knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The balance of power had shifted, ancient mysteries beckoned, and the future promised both incredible opportunities and unfathomable dangers. The stage was set for a new chapter in galactic history, one in which humanity would play a central role. Whether as partners or adversaries, the species of the Milky Way would face the unknown together. As General Chen watched the preparations for the upcoming diplomatic mission, she couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. Humanity had proven its strength, but the real test was yet to come. Could they transition from warriors to diplomats, from outsiders to integral members of the galactic community? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: the sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Council regroups. The Grand Assembly Hall on Centauri Prime buzzed with an energy unlike anything seen in centuries. Representatives from every corner of the Galactic Council had gathered for what many were calling the most crucial meeting in the organization's long history. The topic at hand: how to deal with the sudden rise of humanity as a major galactic power. High Counselor Genev's crystalline form glimmered as she took her place at the center of the chamber. The murmuring of the assembled delegates quieted as she began to speak. Esteemed colleagues, her resonant voice filled the hall. We stand at a crossroads. The humans have demonstrated power beyond our expectations and offered us a choice between peace and continued conflict. Today, we must decide the future of our galactic civilization. The Volcran representative, still nursing wounds from the recent battles, lashed out with his tentacles. How can we even consider peace? These humans deceived us, hid their true nature, and then attacked our worlds. They cannot be trusted. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but the Aurelian ambassador's gentle glow pulsed as she countered. And yet, they withdrew their forces when they could have pressed their advantage. They've shown restraint and a willingness to negotiate. We must not let fear cloud our judgment. As the debate raged on, it became clear that the Council was deeply divided. Some races, impressed by human technology and martial prowess, advocated for embracing them as equals. Others, still stinging from the recent defeats, called for a massive military buildup to counter the human threat. In the midst of the heated discussion, an unexpected voice cut through the chaos. Gravna, representative of the reclusive Arxer race, stepped forward. The chamber fell silent. The Arxer rarely involved themselves in council politics. You all bicker like younglings, Gravna's gravelly voice rumbled. You're missing the larger picture. The humans have changed the balance of power, yes, but they've also reminded us of an important truth. There is much we do not know about our own galaxy. The ancient alien gestured towards a holographic display showing the recently discovered ruins. These artifacts suggest that we are not the first to reach for the stars, nor are we the most advanced to have done so. The humans, with their fresh perspective and impressive technological leaps, could be valuable allies in unraveling these mysteries. A thoughtful silence fell over the assembly as they considered Gravna's words. Even the most hawkish representatives couldn't deny the allure of unlocking the secrets of their galactic predecessors. High Counselor Geneve seized the moment. Gravna speaks wisely. Perhaps instead of fearing human advancement, we should embrace it. I propose we accept their offer of peace and equal partnership. The vote that followed was close, but in the end, the motion passed. The Galactic Council would sue for peace with Earth and welcome humanity as full members of the galactic community. However, this decision was far from unanimous, and undercurrents of resentment and fear still ran deep among many council races. As preparations began for the historic summit with Earth's leaders, other, darker preparations were also underway in the shadows of the galaxy. On the militaristic world of Kroldar, General Vexicor of the Krex Imperium watched the Council's declaration of peace with disgust. His scaled skin rippled with barely contained rage as he turned to his assembled war council. "The Council has gone soft," he snarled, sharp teeth glinting in the low light. "They would welcome these upstart humans rather than crush them as they deserve. If the Council will not act, then we must take matters into our own claws." His subordinates growled in agreement. The Krex had long chafed under the Council's restrictive policies, and now they saw an opportunity to assert themselves. "Mobilize the fleet," Vexicor ordered. "We will strike at the humans while they are distracted by these foolish peace talks, and when Earth burns, the galaxy will remember why the Krex are feared." As the Krex war machine rumbled to life, similar scenes played out on other worlds. Not every race was willing to accept humans as equals, and some saw the Council's decision as a sign of weakness to be exploited. Meanwhile, blissfully unaware of the gathering storm, the human diplomatic mission made its way to Centauri Prime. The sleek vessel Harmony, a testament to Earth's advanced technology, carried President Carter, General Chen, and a carefully selected team of diplomats and scientists. As they approached the Council capital, Carter couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The planet was a glittering jewel, its surface covered in sprawling cities that put Earth's greatest metropolises to shame. Ships of all sizes and configurations swarmed around the world like bees around a hive. "It's breathtaking," Carter murmured, standing on the bridge next to General Chen. Chen nodded, but her expression remained guarded. "Beautiful, yes, but let's not forget that less than a month ago, ships from this very world were trying to reduce Earth to ashes." Carter sighed. "I know, Sarah, but if we're going to build a lasting peace, we need to move past that. We need to show them that humans can be more than just warriors." As the Harmony docked at the massive space station orbiting Centauri Prime, final preparations were made for the summit. Security was tight, with both Council forces and a contingent of human Marines working together to ensure the safety of all delegates. The summit itself was held in a vast, transparent dome atop the Council's tallest spire. As President Carter stepped up to the podium to deliver her opening address, she could see the sprawling capital city below and the star-studded sky above. A fitting backdrop for a moment that would shake the future of the galaxy. "Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council," Carter began, her voice clear and strong. "I come before you today not just as the leader of Earth, but as a representative of all humanity. We stand ready to take our place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners." As Carter spoke of cooperation, cultural exchange, and shared scientific endeavors, many in the audience found themselves swayed by her words. The fear and resentment that had dominated recent discussions began to give way to cautious optimism. But even as the summit progressed and agreements were hammered out, the forces set in motion by the Krex and their allies were drawing ever closer. 3 days into the week-long summit, as delegates from Earth and the Council were deep in discussions about technology-sharing protocols, alarms began to blare throughout the city. The holographic displays in the summit chamber flickered to life, showing a massive fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. General Chen was on her feet immediately, years of training kicking in. "Madam President, we need to get you to safety." But before they could move, High Counselor Genva's voice cut through the chaos. "Wait, those are not Council ships." Her crystalline form shimmered with anxiety. "They bear the markings of the Krex Imperium and several other non-aligned races." As the assembled delegates watched in horror, the invading fleet began to lay waste to Centauri Prime's orbital defenses. Warships exchanged furious barrages of energy weapons and missiles, while swarms of fighter craft darted between the larger vessels. President Carter turned to Genva, her expression grim. "High Counselor, it appears we face a common enemy. Earth stands ready to assist in the defense of Centauri Prime." Genva's form pulsed with gratitude. "We would welcome your aid, President Carter. It seems our newfound alliance will be tested sooner than we anticipated." As the Council's military commanders scrambled to mount a defense, General Chen was already coordinating with the human forces. The Harmony, though designed as a diplomatic vessel, was still equipped with advanced weapons and defenses. Additionally, Earth had dispatched a small task force to accompany the diplomatic mission, a prudent precaution that was now proving invaluable. Within minutes, human ships joined the fray, their advanced technology helping to stem the tide of the Krek's assault. On the planet's surface, human Marines fought alongside Council security forces to repel landing parties that had slipped through the orbital defenses. The battle raged for hours, the skies above Centauri Prime lit by the fury of ship-to-ship combat. The combined forces of Earth and the Council fought valiantly, but the Kreks and their allies had the advantage of numbers and surprise. Just when it seemed the defenses might buckle, a new fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Led by the massive human dreadnought Titan, this reinforcement force had been dispatched from Earth as soon as the attack began, using experimental faster-than-light drives to arrive in record time. The tide of battle quickly turned. Caught between the defending forces and the human reinforcements, the Krek's fleet found itself outmaneuvered and outgunned. Within hours, the invaders were in full retreat, leaving behind a graveyard of shattered ships and broken dreams of conquest. As the last Krek's vessels flooded the system, an uneasy quiet settled over Centauri Prime. The capital city, while damaged, had been saved from destruction. But the cost had been high, with thousands of lives lost on both sides. In the summit chamber, now serving as an impromptu command center, President Carter and High Counselor Genva stood side by side, watching the holographic display of the retreating enemy fleet. "It would seem," Genva said softly, "that our peoples were destined to fight together, rather than against each other." Carter nodded, her expression solemn. "Indeed. But this attack makes one thing clear. The galaxy is a more dangerous place than either of us realized. We'll need to stand together if we're to face whatever comes next." As the immediate crisis passed and the work of rebuilding began, both human and Council leaders knew that the galaxy had changed irrevocably. The peace they had been negotiating was now cemented in shared blood and sacrifice. But with this new alliance came new challenges. The Kreks and their allies were still out there, licking their wounds and likely planning their next move. And beyond them lurked older, deeper mysteries, the ancient ruins that hinted at a universe far grander and more perilous than anyone had imagined. As the sun rose on a new day on Centauri Prime, humanity and the Galactic Council found themselves standing on the threshold of a new era. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril, but they would face it together, united by their shared experiences and the hope for a brighter future among the stars. The galaxy watched and waited, holding its breath to see what this new human Council alliance would bring. And in the vast, dark spaces between the stars, ancient forces stirred, awakened by the ripples of conflict and discovery spreading across the cosmos, uncovering ancient secrets. The dust had barely settled on Centauri Prime when a joint human Council expedition set out for the mysterious ruins that had been discovered just before the Peace Summit. The expedition team, aboard the advanced research vessel Curiosity, was a diverse group of the brightest minds from both Earth and various Council races. Dr. Ilara Voss, a renowned human archaeologist, stood on the bridge of the Curiosity, her eyes fixed on the approaching planet. Known only as XR 517, the world was a desolate rock orbiting a dying star. Yet somewhere on its barren surface lay secrets that could reshape their understanding of the galaxy. "Nervous, Doctor?" a voice chirped beside her. Ilara turned to see Cathal, a Zinga scientist whose insectoid features were arranged in what she had learned was a smile. Excited, Ilara corrected, returning the smile. We're about to touch down on a world that might hold the key to understanding an ancient civilization far more advanced than our own. How could I not be? As the Curiosity entered the planet's thin atmosphere, the team made final preparations. The ruins had been discovered by automated probes, but this would be the first time sentient beings would set foot in them for what might be millions of years. The ship touched down near the entrance to a vast complex built into the side of a mountain. As the team disembarked, they were struck by the utter silence of the world. No wind, no life, just the crunch of their boots on the dusty ground and the faint hum of their environmental suits. "By the cosmic winds," breathed Xandor, a Palaxian geologist, as they approached the entrance. "Look at the precision of these cuts in the rock. No tool we possess could make such clean lines." Ilara nodded, running a gloved hand over the smooth surface. And yet these ruins are estimated to be at least 10 million years old. Whoever built this, their technology must have been incredible. The team cautiously entered the complex, their helmet lights illuminating corridors that had been dark for eons. Strange symbols covered the walls, unlike any language known to humans or the council races. As they ventured deeper, the ruins began to come alive around them. Lights flickered on, responding to their presence. Holographic displays sputtered to life, showing star charts of a galaxy far different from the one they knew. "This is incredible," Ilara murmured, her eyes wide as she studied one of the displays. "These star configurations, they're millions of years old. We're looking at a map of the galaxy from the time these beings lived." Kithel chittered excitedly, his multiple limbs working furiously over a control panel. "Dr. Voss, I believe I've managed to activate some kind of central database. The information here, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered." As the team delved into the ancient data, a picture began to emerge of the beings who had built these ruins. They called themselves the Precursors, a species so advanced that they had transcended physical form, becoming beings of pure energy and thought. The Precursors had seeded life throughout the galaxy, guiding the evolution of countless species. But they had also faced challenges, terrible wars against other advanced civilizations, battles that raged across millions of years and reshaped entire galactic sectors. "Look at this," Xandor called out, gesturing to a holographic display showing a massive device. "It seems to be some kind of superweapon. The Precursors built it to defend against something they called the Void Hunters." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine as she studied the image. The device was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. According to the data, it had the power to reshape reality itself, to erase entire star systems from existence. "But where is this weapon now?" Kithel asked, his antennae twitching nervously. "And what became of these Void Hunters?" Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath them began to tremble. Dust and small rocks rained down from the ceiling as the entire complex shuddered. "Everyone, back to the ship," Ilara shouted, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew it was too late. The floor beneath them split open, and they found themselves falling into darkness. When Ilara regained consciousness, she found herself in a vast chamber deep beneath the surface. The rest of the team was scattered around her, groaning as they picked themselves up. But it was what stood at the center of the chamber that took her breath away. A massive crystal, easily 20 meters tall, pulsed with an inner light. As Ilara approached it, she felt a presence brush against her mind, ancient and unimaginably vast. "Welcome, children," the voice resonated in her head, and from the startled looks of her companions, she knew they heard it too. "We have waited long for one such as you to find us." "Who? What are you?" Ilara managed to ask, her voice shaking. "We are the last of the Precursors," the voice replied. "Our physical forms long gone, our consciousness preserved in this crystal matrix. We have slumbered for millions of years, waiting for a species worthy of our legacy." The crystal pulsed, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic displays, showing scenes from across the galaxy, the recent war between humanity and the Council, the Krex attack on Centaur Prime, and more. You have proven yourselves, humans and council races alike. In your conflict and your cooperation, we see the potential for greatness, but also the capacity for terrible destruction. Images flashed by of devastated worlds, of entire civilizations wiped out in the blink of an eye. The threat that we faced in our time is stirring once more. The Void Hunters, beings from outside our reality, seek to consume all life in this galaxy. We fought them to a standstill, but at a terrible cost. The final image showed the superweapon they had seen earlier, now revealed to be a massive ring-shaped structure floating in space. This is the Nexus, our final defense against the Void Hunters. With it, we sealed them away in a pocket dimension. But the seal is weakening. They will return, and you must be ready. Ilara's mind reeled with the implications. But how can we possibly stand against a threat that even you, with all your advanced technology, could barely defeat? The Precursor's voice took on a tone of what might have been sadness. Alone, you cannot. But together, united, you have a chance. We will give you access to some of our technology to help you prepare. But be warned, power such as this comes with great responsibility. It can save your civilization or destroy it. With those words, the crystal flared brightly, and Ilara felt knowledge pouring into her mind. Schematics for advanced weapons, faster than light drives, beyond anything they had imagined, energy sources that could power entire planets. As the light faded and the flow of information ceased, Ilara and her team found themselves back on the surface, standing before their ship as if they had never left. But the weight of the knowledge they now carried told them it had been no dream. We need to report this immediately," Kithel said, his voice shaking. The others nodded in agreement, still too stunned to speak. As the Curiosity broke orbit, carrying its crew and their world-shaking discovery back to civilization, none of them noticed the small, dark shape that detached itself from the planet's surface and followed in their wake. The news of the Precursor's warning and the gift of their technology sent shockwaves through both human and council space. Emergency sessions were called, militaries were put on high alert, and scientists began working around the clock to decipher and implement the advanced knowledge they had been given. On Earth, President Carter met with her advisors in a secure bunker deep beneath the White House. The mood was tense as they discussed the implications of this new threat. If these Void Hunters are as dangerous as the Precursors claim, we're looking at a threat to our very existence, General Chen said, her face grim. We need to begin preparations immediately. The Secretary of Science nodded in agreement. The technology the Precursors have given us, it's beyond anything we've ever seen. It could revolutionize every aspect of our society. But weaponizing it, building defenses on the scale we'd need, it's going to take time and resources on an unprecedented scale. President Carter leaned back in her chair, her eyes closed as she processed the information. When she opened them, there was a steely determination in her gaze. We don't have a choice. Humanity has fought hard for its place in the galaxy. We won't let these Void Hunters take that away from us. She stood, addressing the room. Contact the Council. Tell them we're prepared to commit everything we have to this joint defense effort. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity and its allies are truly capable of. As similar scenes played out across Council space, with races that had been bitter enemies now finding common cause in the face of this existential threat, the galaxy began to mobilize on a scale never before seen. Massive shipyards were constructed in orbit around dozens of worlds, churning out vessels equipped with precursor-derived technology. The Nexus, hidden away in a remote corner of the galaxy, was located and reactivated, its power harnessed to create a network of early warning systems and defensive outposts. But even as these preparations were underway, dark forces were stirring. In the shadows between stars, the Void Hunters sensed the awakening of precursor technology. Their prison, weakened by millions of years, began to crack. And closer to home, not everyone was convinced that this new threat was real. Some saw it as an opportunity to seize power, to settle old scores in the chaos of this galaxy-wide mobilization. On a hidden base deep in the Outer Rim, General Vexicor of the Crex Imperium smiled as he watched the data stolen from a Curiosity scroll across his screens. The fools thought they were preparing for some mythical extragalactic invaders. They had no idea that the real threat was much closer to home. Soon, he growled, his scaled hands clenching into fists. Soon, the galaxy will know the true power of the Crex, and all who stand in our way will be crushed. As the galaxy raced to prepare for a threat it barely understood, the stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate not just of humanity or the Council, but of all life in the Milky Way. The countdown to destiny had begun, and the future hung in the balance. A new galactic order. The galaxy held its breath as the combined fleets of humanity and the Galactic Council assembled near the ancient nexus. Ships of all sizes and configurations, their hulls gleaming with newly integrated precursor technology, formed a defensive perimeter around the massive ring-shaped structure. At the center of this armada was the Titan, Earth's most advanced dreadnought, now serving as the flagship for this unprecedented joint force. On the Titan's bridge, Admiral Sarah Chen, recently promoted to lead the combined fleet, stood before a holographic display of the battlefield. Beside her, High Counselor Genvis' crystalline form shimmered with nervous energy. "The Void Hunters will be here soon," Genvis said, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. "Our long-range sensors have detected disturbances at the edge of the galaxy. They're coming." Chen nodded grimly. "We're as ready as we'll ever be. Let's hope the Precursor's technology gives us the edge we need." As if on cue, alarms blared across the fleet. The fabric of space itself seemed to tear as massive, otherworldly vessels began to emerge from what looked like wounds in reality. The Void Hunters had arrived. "All ships, battle stations." Chen barked. "Remember your training. We're fighting for the survival of every sentient being in this galaxy. Failure is not an option." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Void Hunters, eldritch monstrosities that defied the laws of physics as they were understood, unleashed weapons that warped space and time. Entire squadrons of ships vanished in an instant, only to reappear seconds later as twisted, broken hulks. But the defenders gave as good as they got. Beams of energy, powered by precursor tech, lanced out from Council and human ships alike, tearing through the Void Hunters' otherworldly defenses. Fighters darted between the larger vessels, their pilots pushing their crafts and themselves to the limit as they engaged in a deadly dance with the invaders. As the battle raged, a separate drama was unfolding elsewhere in the galaxy. General Vexicor of the Crex Imperium had seized the opportunity provided by the distraction of the Void Hunter invasion. With most of the galaxy's military might concentrated at the Nexus, he launched a series of lightning strikes against key Council and human worlds. On Earth, President Carter received the news of Vexicor's betrayal with a mixture of anger and resignation. "We should have seen this coming," she muttered. Turning to her advisors, "What's the situation?" The holographic display in the war room shifted, showing the progress of the Crex assault. "They've already taken 3 Council worlds and are pushing towards our colonies in the Arcturus sector," her military advisor reported. "We have reserve forces moving to intercept, but with most of our fleet at the Nexus." Carter's jaw set in determination. "We can't afford to pull forces away from the Void Hunter battle. We'll have to trust in our planetary defenses and the troops we have available. Send word to all our worlds. They're on their own for now. They'd need to hold out until we can deal with this existential threat." Back at the Nexus, the tide of battle was beginning to turn. The defenders, though taking heavy losses, were slowly pushing the Void Hunters back. The precursor technology was proving its worth, allowing the galactic forces to stand toe-to-toe with enemies that had nearly wiped out a far more advanced civilization. Admiral Chen, her uniform scorched and her face streaked with sweat, barked out orders as she coordinated the fleet's movements. Concentrate fire on that large vessel at Sector 7. It seems to be directing the others." As the combined firepower of dozens of ships converged on the target, the massive Void Hunter vessel began to buckle. With a silent flash that seemed to distort the very fabric of space around it, the ship imploded, taking several of its companions with it. A cheer went up across the fleet, but Chen knew the battle was far from over. "Push the advantage," she ordered. "Drive them back towards the Nexus." As the Void Hunters were corralled towards the ancient superweapon, Genevieve approached Chen. "Admiral, I believe I understand now why the precursors left us the Nexus. It's not just a weapon, it's a trap." Chen's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "You mean to seal them away again, like the precursors did?" Genevieve's crystalline form pulsed with excitement. "Exactly. But we'll need to time it perfectly. If we activate it too soon, some might escape. Too late, and we might be pulled in with them." The next hour was a delicate ballet of destruction as the combined fleet herded the Void Hunters closer and closer to the Nexus. Ships on both sides were lost by the dozens, their debris creating a treacherous field of obstacles. Finally, when the bulk of the Void Hunter force was within the Nexus ring, Chen gave the order. "Activate the Nexus. All ships, pull back immediately." The ancient structure hummed to life, energy crackling along its surface. A swirling vortex formed within its center, growing rapidly in size and intensity. The Void Hunters, realizing too late the trap they had fallen into, tried to flee, but the pull of the vortex was too strong. As the last of the human and council ships cleared the danger zone, the Nexus reached full power. In a blinding flash of light that momentarily outshone the nearby sun, the Void Hunters were sucked into the swirling maw of energy. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The Nexus went dark, and an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. For a moment, no one dared to speak. Then, slowly, realization dawned. They had won. Against all odds, the galaxy had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. As celebrations erupted across the fleet, Chen allowed herself a small smile, but it was short-lived as she remembered the other threat they faced. "Get me a secure channel to Earth," she ordered. "We need to deal with the Creks." The news from the home front was grim. While the combined fleet had been battling the Void Hunters, Vexcor and his forces had made significant gains. Several council worlds had fallen, and the Creks were pushing hard against human colonies. In a bold move, Vexcor had established his headquarters on Centauri Prime itself, the heart of the Galactic Council. He clearly intended to declare himself the new ruler of the galaxy. "We can't let him consolidate his power," Chen said, addressing the holographic images of President Carter and the remaining council leadership. "We need to strike now, while our forces are still mobilized." Carter nodded in agreement. "The Creks think they've won, that we're too weakened by the battle with the Void Hunters to oppose them. Let's show them how wrong they are." The plan was audacious. While the bulk of the fleet would engage the Creks forces spread across the galaxy, a small, elite team would infiltrate Centauri Prime and take out Vexcor directly. Leading this team would be none other than Dr. Ilara Voss, the archaeologist who had first discovered the precursor ruins. "Are you sure about this, Doctor?" Chen asked as Ilara prepared to board a stealth shuttle. "This is well outside your usual area of expertise." Ilara checked the power pack on her precursor-derived energy pistol, a grim smile on her face. "The precursors didn't just give us technology, Admiral. They gave us knowledge, including some very interesting close combat techniques. Trust me, I'm ready for this." As the combined fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, racing to confront the Creks, Ilara's team slipped quietly towards Centauri Prime. The fate of the galaxy now rested in their hands. The battle against the Creks was fierce but short. Caught off guard by the rapid return of the combined fleet and still struggling to integrate their conquered territories, Vexcor's forces found themselves quickly overwhelmed. On Centauri Prime, Ilara and her team fought their way through the occupied capital city. the precursor combat knowledge, downloaded directly into their minds, turned the academics and scientists into formidable warriors. They finally cornered Vexcor in the Council's Grand Assembly Hall. The Crex general, his scaled skin marked with the scars of countless battles, sneered at the intruders. "You're too late," he growled. "I have already transmitted orders to my fleet. Even if you kill me, the Crex will burn 100 worlds in retaliation." Ilara stepped forward, her eyes blazing with an inner fire that made even Vexcor take a step back. "No, General," she said calmly. "Your fleet is already defeated. Your revolution is over. The only choice you have now is how you'll be remembered by history." For a moment, it seemed Vexcor would fight to the bitter end. But as the sounds of battle outside grew closer and he saw the determination in Ilara's eyes, his shoulders slumped in defeat. The last resistance of the Crex Imperium died not with a bang, but with a whimper. In the days that followed, as the galaxy began the long process of rebuilding, the leaders of humanity and the Galactic Council met once again on Centauri Prime. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Gone was the suspicion and fear that had marked their early encounters. In its place was a sense of shared purpose, of a bond forged in the crucible of battle against a common enemy. President Carter, Admiral Chen, High Counselor Genva, and representatives from dozens of races sat around a circular table, symbolizing their new equality. "We've been given a second chance," Carter said, looking around at her fellow leaders. "The Void Hunters are sealed away. The Crex Imperium is no more. Now we have an opportunity to build something new, a true galactic community." Genva's crystalline form pulsed in agreement. "Indeed, the old council structure is clearly obsolete. We need a new system, one that respects the strengths and unique perspectives of all our peoples." And so, over the next several weeks, a new galactic order was born. The Galactic Alliance, as it came to be known, was founded on principles of mutual respect, shared defense, and collaborative scientific advancement. Earth and humanity, so recently seen as upstart newcomers, were now key players in this new interstellar democracy. As the first session of the new Galactic Alliance concluded, Admiral Chen found Dr. Ilara Voss standing alone on a balcony, looking out over the glittering spires of Centauri Prime. "Credit for your thoughts, Doctor," Chen asked, joining her at the railing. Ilara smiled, her eyes still fixed on the horizon. "I was just thinking about how far we've come. A few months ago, we were facing extinction. Now, we're standing at the dawn of a new era for the entire galaxy." Chen nodded, following Ilara's gaze to where the first stars were becoming visible in the darkening sky. "True, but we can't forget the threats we faced, or the ones that might still be out there. The Void Hunters might return one day, and who knows what other dangers lurk in the darkness between the stars." "You're right, of course," Ilara replied, turning to face the Admiral. "But that's why what we've built here is so important. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. And personally, I can't wait to see what we'll discover out there." As night fell on Centauri Prime, the two women stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out one by one. Each point of light represented not just distant suns, but new frontiers, new challenges, and new opportunities for the united peoples of the Milky Way. The galaxy had faced its trial by fire, and emerged stronger for it. Whatever the future held, humanity and its new allies were ready to meet it head-on, united in their diversity, strengthened by their differences, and bound together by the shared experience of standing against the darkness and emerging victorious. The dawn of the Galactic Alliance had arrived, and with it a new chapter in the history of life in the Milky Way began. The sleeping giant of humanity had not only awakened, but had found its place among the stars, ready to help shape the destiny of an entire galaxy.